Welcome back to part 2 of our series on Exacta.io. I am back as an artificial intelligence avatar to tell you what we will be learning. In this part, we will learn some of the things necessary to set up our assets for easy management. So, let's get started with part 2, managing assets.
Okay, so in this part of the video series, we're going to be starting with verifying our assets. Now, once you've imported all of your assets in, their verification status will come in as unverified. So we can see right here that we have a whole bunch of unverified assets, meaning we don't know if these are part of our system or if they are not part of our system. So because of this verification status here, we need to go through and check mark what is ours and what isn't ours as far as our system is concerned. So what we're going to do here is look at each of the different host names. So we're going to look at each of these different host names and compare them to our equipment to inventory that we know we should have. So if these items are showing up on my equipment inventory that I know are part of my system, then I would absolutely use these items and verify them as part of my system. If they are not mine, then I would mark them as being or continue to leave them as being unverified. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pretend like these assets here, we've gone through and verified these different assets. So you can see I'm check marking assets that I have verified by putting a check mark next to their box, and I have verified these assets. And I could go through and singularly verify them, but it's much easier to do a bulk verification in this way. So I have verified all of these assets. Now we are going to pretend that asset 100 is something that was not ours. So this is something that is not part of our system. This is an unverified asset. It does not belong to this particular system that we're working with. It's not part of my boundary. So we're going to just change the verification status of the things that we know are ours and click verified. Once we do this, we can see that 16 of these items are now verified and one item is now unverified. And that is going to help us out in future scans and things like that. So as future scans come in, we'll be able to quickly tell what has been verified, and anything that is unverified would then show up. If it was a new asset that came in as unverified, then we would know immediately that this is not part of my system because I have gone through and verified all the assets that do belong to my system. So that's what we're trying to do here, is set everything up for our future scans and their capabilities. All right, now that we have verified our assets, the next thing that we want to do is we want to establish the roles and set the criticality levels for our different assets. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to filter what we see here on the screen because I don't want to assign roles and criticality levels for assets that aren't mine. So I'm going to not choose this asset 100. So I'm going to choose my filter option here on the side, and I'm going to choose to filter by just things that are verified. Once I apply this, I am left with only my 16 assets that are mine. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to assign the server assets the role of server. So I'm going to go ahead and select everything that's a server. Now if you're like, how do you know that this is a server? Well, these all have the server operating system on them, right? So this one has a Windows Server operating system, and so do the others. So I'm going to choose this one, which is a server. And I'm also going to choose these down here, and these are also a server. So these items are all servers. And up here at the top, we're just going to go ahead and click this Assign Role button, and we're going to assign them to the server role. And this is letting us know very quickly, very easily, that these assets are servers. Now the other assets that we have, these are just going to be our standard desktop or workstation computers because they all have Windows 10 on them. So I'm going to select these assets that are my Windows 10 assets here, and we are going to assign them the role of being a workstation. So we'll assign the role, and these are all going to be workstations. And here we can see now that we have servers and we have workstations. Now the last thing to do is assign the criticality level of our assets. The criticality level is the impact of this asset if for some reason it were to go down. And the impact that we're looking at here is the impact to the mission. So what would happen to the mission if I lost this server? Is it truly a medium criticality to the mission? Or if I lost this server, the mission couldn't happen, which would indicate to me that it's a high criticality. So we're going to go under the assumption that all of our servers are going to be a high criticality level for our system. So I'm going to use my filter in order to choose only my servers. So we're going to use our filter, and we're going to scroll down here. Now that we've assigned it a role, I'm going to choose to just show my servers. Just show my servers, and then we'll apply this filter, and now I'm left with my 6 servers. Now all 6 of these servers I'm going to say is a criticality of high, because if I lose any of these servers, my mission can't happen. So I'm going to select all 6 of these servers at the same time, and I'm going to set their criticality level to a high. Now that we've set their criticality level to a high, the next thing to do would be to do our workstations. So we're going to filter again, and this time we're going to remove the server role, and we're going to filter by workstations. So now I have all my workstations on here, all 10 of those, and we're going to assume that these workstations are a low criticality. If I lose a workstation, it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. So we're going to go ahead and we'll assign the criticality level. So we're going to set the criticality of all these to being low. And now we can see that they're all with the proper role. So we'll clear out our filters. So of the assets that are verified, we do have roles, and we do have their criticality levels set. So once this has been accomplished, as far as the verification of our assets, the role, and the criticality levels, we don't have to do that again in future scans. So this is a one and done. Once we do the verification, the role, and the criticality level, we only have to do it the initial time when we first get these assets into our system. After that, we no longer have to do that for our future scans. Okay, so the very last thing that we want to do in this process is we are going to be deleting assets that are not part of our system. So we have gone through and done the verification. We have verified assets that are ours. We've set up their roles. We've set up their criticality levels. The last thing to do is to remove any assets that actually are not ours. So we're going to go to the filter, and we're going to filter by these unverified assets. So this is going to show me all those assets that were not mine. These are not part of my system. They do not belong to my boundary, and they came in, maybe erroneously from a scan, or they came in from a Nessus scan that was too broad in its scanning range. But these assets are not mine. They do not belong to my boundary. I am not responsible for them. So we are going to select the assets that we don't want anymore, and we are going to click the delete button. So once we've clicked the delete button for these unverified assets, we can then click delete here. And once we click delete, we will get a pop-up that will ask us to confirm it. So this is your warning. This is your chance to back out of a deletion if you're about to accidentally delete something that you didn't want to. But in this case, we do want to delete this because these are unverified assets. So I'm going to delete that out. And now that asset no longer exists. And if I clear my filter, I'm now down to 16 assets, and I have everything set up and prepared and ready to go. So in the next video in this series, we're going to be showing you how to move your assets and how to import them from Exacta.io into Exacta 360. We'll be showing you some tips and tricks on how to move the assets over that are going to make your life a little bit easier, and how to set up some different rules and things like that to make the process more efficient. So we'll see you guys in part 3 of our video learning series all about Exacta.io. See you then.
For more great content, make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel to get the latest Exacta tidbits.